Let's take a look today at how I turned some trash into a berry garden and save some money while doing it. One part of intentional living that often gets overlooked is being intentional with what you purchase, and perhaps even more so with making really good use of what you already own. So today I'm sharing how I created some strawberry planters using milk jugs and other repurposed materials that I just had on hand around the house. It's a little frugal, a little crafty, and all about making mindful choices, not just for my wallet, but also for health reasons and for the planet too. I'll also share why some containers might look really cute, but they aren't safe for growing food in, and what you need to watch out for when you're planting strawberries, or for that matter, anything edible. Just because the picture on the box might show it having, growing some strawberries out of it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's safe. At least that's what I learned.
I ended up figuring out that these pots may not be food safe. I did my best to research what they were made out of. These were pots that I bought from Costco. The best I can figure out is I know that Multi makes a lot of their pots from recycled materials, it says, and in looking at their website, it appears that they're made from old tires, which really concerns me because I know that tires have a whole host of nasty chemicals that can leach out. And so I don't think I really want to grow my strawberries in here anymore. I think this would be great for some flowers, but I don't want to grow food in it. And then that got me thinking about these. Well, do I really want to put strawberries in these as well? And because I can't tell what the plastic is. So much of the plastic in our environment, it leaches out. And while it might be small amounts, my theory is that we get bombarded by so many small amounts of chemicals and environmental toxins that I just want to limit where I can.
So milk jugs actually are one of the plastics that are considered safe to be able to plant something edible in. So let's take a look at how I went about transforming these into a container to grow my strawberries in. So after removing the labels, the next step was to cut a hole in the top. And I tried this a couple different ways. I did try using a box cutter for it, but I found that actually it ended up being a little bit easier to just cut with the scissors. I did find it easier to get it started and make a hole with the box cutter, but then I just used a pair of older scissors to cut the holes in the top. Then, because I wanted to make a little water reservoir in the bottom, I just took that top piece and put that in the bottom of the containers. Next, I needed to make some holes in the bottom where any excess water could drain out. So I did use the box cutter to puncture the plastic in about 4 to 6 places, about an inch or two up from the bottom of the container, just so that they would be able to have water in the bottom that their roots could get down to, but not get overloaded with water or waterlogged and then end up having their roots rot. I also had found some buckets that I had saved that had spices in them that I thought would be a good size to make some little planters out of as well. So for these, I did use a drill to drill the holes in the bottom of the bucket. I often save back pieces of broken pottery or little rocks and that type of thing that I use to line the bottom of buckets with. And to be honest, I probably should have paid attention to not using any that had any paint on them. I didn't do that at this point, but that would be something good to try to avoid to use ones with paint, because it's possible that that might leach out too. So I'll probably make sure the next time I replant these that I pay attention to that. For the
buckets, I cut a circle from the top of the lids so that it could keep the dirt from falling through.
So next up is filling the containers with the dirt, but I do want to tell you a little bit about what I learned about with respect to containers and what's safe to grow food in, especially when you're looking at plastic ones. So if you flip the container over, you'll see a little triangle with a number inside, and that's the recycling code. It's a little hard to see on this milk jug, but both the milk jug as well as the plastic containers I'm using are number 2 HDPE, which is one of the safest plastics that you can reuse. You'll want to look for labels with a number 2, a number 4, or a number 5, as these are generally considered food safe. On the other hand, plastics labeled with number 3, number 6, or number 7 can potentially leach harmful chemicals over time, especially with the sun or heat. So I would avoid using those completely for anything edible. And one more quick reuse tip for you here today. Those black nursery pots, you can put those at the bottom of a big pot to take up space in your pot as well. So what I found from this little exercise is that being intentional with what we grow our food in is really just as important as how we grow it. And luckily, sometimes some of the safest options are ones that you might already have in your recycling bin. So I hope you have found today's video helpful. If you have found some things to reuse and recycle for your gardening purposes, would love to hear about those as well in the comments. And if you're out there gardening this week, I hope you have beautiful weather and enjoy your time outside.